Hi, everyone. Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone is having a nice Monday afternoon. We're excited. I'm excited. It feels like it's been forever since I've gotten a chance to hang out with Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau. Josh, between my schedule and your schedule, it feels like it's been forever and a day since we've gotten a chance to hang out.
It has been, Bill. My name's Josh. It's very nice to meet you. I appreciate having the chance to get to know you during this segment.
Right. First thing I got to ask, how are your trees? All your trees still intact?
My singular tree is still standing. Very proud of her and her ability to withstand those powerful winds over the weekend. Truly, we were talking off air. This is the one benefit of living in a neighborhood where the trees are not terribly developed to this point, but incredible resilience, and I feel like that's a good sign moving forward. But very grateful that all is accounted for here.
There you go, Josh. It is kind of back to school time, and that's what we're going to be talking about here over the next few minutes. And I forgot to tell you this, but really quickly, not to put you on the spot. I know we've talked about this in the past. Obviously, you have big weather events that we had this weekend. This is a good reminder for folks who need tree work, need maybe to get their roofs checked. That these are the kinds of incidents that scammers like to take advantage of.
Yeah, it turns out most of us don't have a lot of personal contacts with arborists or deal with these types of situations with regularity. So there's a lot of confusion that is built in. And frankly, there's enormous price tags associated with a lot of, at least some of the projects associated with roof maintenance or tree maintenance. And so you want to make sure at bare minimum that you're working with a company or a contractor who can legally provide those services. And that might seem like a really obvious thing or a really small thing, but truly there are a lot of companies out there who are not going to be upfront about their lack of license, their lack of ability to prove the scope of work, their lack of experience in this space. And so you want to make sure at bare minimum that you are avoiding those folks who are not legally allowed to provide that service. You can go through the Secretary of State. You can look up all of these various licensing boards if you so choose. But at least that is a significant part of my colleagues' work at the BBB is to vet companies with regularity. So bbb.org, you can see any accredited business has to be legally licensed to provide that service. And so again, it might seem like a small thing, but I can promise you when you are removing that tree from your home or adding landscaping services or adjusting your sidewalk, you want to make sure that at least in your back pocket you have somebody who can legally provide the service.
And I know we've talked about in the past, sometimes we just call someone, we say do it, but getting multiple quotes will go a long way in helping you out.
I know the situation seems to be one that you want to use as an opportunity to learn all about that market or all about that industry. But it really is important, particularly when you're talking about such huge sums of money, to have a general sense of what the market rate is for that service. So getting three bids is our best practice, not always jumping at the lowest rate, though we know a lot of people will do that. There might be a reason why that contractor or that company is providing that service at such a discount. And with three, you at least have a ballpark range of what the scope of services will look like. And frankly, you'll have a lot more information the next time you need to secure those services. Would like to think that it's not going to happen again, but storms in Nebraska have a way of repeating themselves, and we have a lot of those here.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was almost a year ago to the day of our storm last July when we had incredible amounts of tree damage, and then we kind of got it 2 nights in a row this last weekend. So, Josh, kind of to the topic we wanted to actually talk about today, before I sidetrack this, tomorrow, first day back for LPS. I think some Omaha schools have already gone back. I know parochial schools, they start next week, but it's that back-to-school time, and there is just so much that goes into that between school supply shopping, new uniform clothes, whatever else it might be. And that's just for the little kids, not alone, the kids maybe you're sending out the door for the first time to college. So there's a lot we kind of want to watch out for.
Yeah, let's start with shopping local, just across the board. I think that's a really helpful way to avoid a lot of what is reported to us. We don't hear a lot of people getting scammed by going to that neighborhood discount store to buy school supplies, to buy uniforms, to buy anything, back to school, apartment, uh, opportunities. Really, when you shop local, you have a general sense that that person is a part of your community, and that is really helpful, particularly with the digital space, which have, of course, made things a lot simpler, a lot easier to navigate. But it's also led to an enormous increase in scams, right? Because for obvious reasons, you can scale those efforts. And the reality is, if you're experiencing a scam in 2025, dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of other people are also experiencing that at the exact same time. And these are tactical campaigns. These are scammers that know that back to school shopping is in full swing. They know that people are trying to budget as they get closer, day by day to the holiday season. They know that people are trying to find great discounts, and so there's going to be a lot of offers that seem like they were tailor made for you. Maybe they come to your email, maybe they come to your Instagram account, and they're not real, right? It's not to say that nothing is real online, but it's really hard to sift through the amount of trash that frankly all consumers have to in 2025. So shopping local is a really good place. Buying basic supplies at your discount stores, signing up for store alerts. If there's a store, a local store that has great deals that you really subscribe to, it's really good to get on their email list if you can. Understand the return policies and loyalty programs. So if you're buying something for your kid to wear that first month and you're planning to return that product, after 30 days, having a general understanding of whether or not that company is going to return that product or what the terms and conditions are is a good place to start as well. But there's a lot of opportunities. There are thousands of consumer-related decisions that go into back-to-school shopping, and you want to make sure at bare minimum you're working with research behind you. So again, we'd of course encourage you to shop with familiar, trusted retailers through bbb.org, or to research companies before making decisions, because even for something as inconsequential as buying a pack of t-shirts, there are a lot of companies that are seemingly unwilling to do the ethical thing when the moment presents itself, and you want to make sure you're avoiding those companies to begin with.
Yeah, and for some of the older kids, maybe in junior high going into high school, maybe you're shopping for new iPads, new MacBooks, laptops, whatever else it might be, maybe a new phone for the school year. There's also a lot of tech things we want to watch out for as well. And when you unbox a new laptop or whatever it might be, making sure the appropriate software and stuff is on there as well.
Customer service is it can be challenging to find, particularly when you're doing all of that shopping online, right? It's really next to impossible to get somebody on the phone these days to answer questions when you have them. Hence, shopping local, right? If you can go into the store, have those questions asked and answered, have the terms and conditions laid out before you purchase something that costs as much as a mortgage payment, that is a really helpful thing to have. And I know it does come at the cost of the time, right, that you spend you getting in the car, commuting over to the retailer, but it does really answer a lot of the questions in the moment. And the more deceiving scammers are not interested in being terribly transparent about any aggressive terms and conditions that wouldn't provide protection to consumers. They're going to hide their tracks as best they can. So good to have a point of contact, good to have a face that you can associate with the transaction, and good to know exactly what you're signing up for before you sign up for it. Shopping in person handles a lot of that.
And again, for some of the older kids, again, maybe first-time college students, again, UNL is going to start up fall semester here in just a few weeks. Parents may be sending their kids away for the first time. BBB has some good resources. We got the basically the back to school HQ webpage pulled up here on BBB, and there's even scroll down just a little bit, 7 scams that target college students. So a good opportunity to just touch on some of these with your child.
Yeah, this is a really good opportunity on the calendar to really have some check-ins with your family, with your loved ones. Some of these topics, we think we know a lot about, and then occasionally it happens and we haven't been thinking about it, and then it becomes a real problem, right? So things like being safe and secure and sensitive with the information you share online. There was a time where it felt like you could communicate just with your friends. And depending on your privacy settings, nowadays, when you post something online, you're communicating with the world, right? Not that everybody in the world has interest in your Instagram timeline, but a lot of that information is really not that secure. So limiting your personal information sharing. I can tell you that there was a time before Instagram where you could go and experience life and not feel like you were tied to the experiences you had because they were documented online forever. But those times are really gone. So it's really important that that if the experience is being documented, that it's really going to be hard to make that go away. And I know that sounds like the preachiest message there ever was, but I can tell you that there are a lot of folks who wish that they hadn't pulled their phone out or wish that they had told their friend to not document that in the moment, who are now having difficulty finding jobs, right? So just be careful with the information you're sharing. It's not just that that's being documented, it's that that information might be able to be used against you, right? Scammers are really good at what they do because they prey on social media, because they prey on people who are divulging too much sensitive information. Please don't include your address, right, in an Instagram post. Please don't upload photos of sensitive information to your Facebook timeline or to TikTok, right? That information should really be kept under wraps because sadly that information is pretty regularly weaponized.
Yeah, I had just had to, again, you mentioned it, but just it's a good time to touch base on some things that I think, I mean, as a parent, I kind of myself take for granted. We opened a little savings account for my oldest this last week, and we had to talk about the difference between the debit cards and the credit cards because he kept saying credit card, and I was like, hey, debit cards are for the money that we have, credit cards are for the money that we don't have, and there's a really big difference.
There is. This is a great opportunity to have a conversation about financial literacy. There was a time not too long ago where you could graduate high school without any understanding of the financial basics, from budgeting to credit cards to how a credit score works. I'd still reckon that there are a lot of folks who are graduating high school and college these days who don't know the inner workings of the credit score. But just having access to a credit card is not unlimited funds, right? At some point, the piper will come calling, and it's really important to know that it's really important to pay that down, each and every month. That will help your credit score. As you mentioned, that the debit card is accessing funds that you already have. Please look into a bank or a credit union. I can't tell you how many folks I talk to who are, unbanked and not, and by intention, right? They are using peer-to-peer payment apps, which really don't come with a lot of built-in fraud protections, which when you get to a college campus, you're really going to want to have. So please be careful with your information, careful with your money, create a plan that you can follow. Even if it seems like you're saving a handful of dollars a month, that does add up in the aggregate. And having a better sense of your money is going to unlock a whole lot of opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise have.
There's a ton of sort of avenues we could go down here, Josh. With just the sort of back to school sort of thread. And again, there's great resource here, bbb.org / back to school. And it's going to provide folks all of this sort of pertinent, relevant information to kind of touch on from kind of like what you said, school photos and, making sure you're not oversharing there, some of the back to school shopping tips and things like that.
Another thing I would just recommend is it's really important to report suspicious activity. Right? Like I mentioned, if you're experiencing something, let's say you applied for a scholarship that you later found was not real, or a grant that you later found was not real, almost certainly that was not designed with you in mind, right? Almost certainly that is being experienced by a classmate, maybe somebody down the hall from you at UNL, maybe somebody in a different department, maybe someone you don't know. That person doesn't need to go through that. And just because, let's say in this scenario, you were able to walk away from that experience unscathed, you didn't lose any money, by reporting it, you are doing what you can to protect that person from needing to go through it. Because we all know that there are some days that we feel a little bit more gullible. And all it takes is, to you to be stretched to the margins, for you to feel like that opportunity is real, and then to pass along your information, your personal information, your payment information, and for that to be a really long process of unwinding that. It's really important to report that suspicious activity, just like you would if you saw a violent crime on campus. UNL police would appreciate if you reported that experience. Scamming works the same way. It's really important to come forward with that experience because sadly, this is something that is just widely experienced by a lot of demographics, the 18 to 24 demographic in particular. And we don't really have the volume of reports that would suggest that that community is terribly interested in coming forward with that experience.
And Josh, we talked about before we jumped on here. You had mentioned that ESPN had actually put out a really good article. I got it pulled up right here. And again, it's not something that I don't think anyone is excited to talk about or anything like that. But again, something for parents to kind of watch out for, especially if you have an older kid who's heading off to college or things like that. It involves sextortion and some of the issues surrounding that.
Yeah, I mentioned that the start of the school year is a really important time to have conversations at the family level about uh, all avenues of communication. So, let's say 20 years ago, that was primarily about stranger danger and reporting when somebody, pulled up alongside of you on your way home from school. And nowadays, you don't need to have left your home at all, right? You can have that conversation with somebody half a world away on Instagram. There's some really scary information in that story that I would encourage parents to check out because of how quickly it moves and how sensitive it is. So, online communication is really a good thing for a lot of folks, but it can get scary rather quickly. And so, opening up those communication channels with your loved ones when things do go awry or things happen that give you pause, it's really important for that person to know that they can come to you with their experience to get answers. Because I think as the reporting bears out, there are a lot of folks who felt isolated and felt unable to get their questions answered in a timely manner. And as a result, there were some pretty shocking ramifications. Again, a lot of that stems from the amount of information that we have available online and how quickly information moves in 2025. And it's not to be afraid of that world, but it's important to understand what it is that we're up against, which is at any given point, we could be communicated with someone who might not have our best interests in mind and who we might feel is deserving of our time and attention. And that's really not true. And it's important to know that you have somebody to lean on when you have questions. So parents, please open up the communication lines because there's a lot of scary things happening out there, particularly on social media.
Yeah. We always say be careful what you share on social media, and a lot of times it's just kind of a throwaway line, but like, hey, those are some of the things that can happen when we do overshare or, send messages that you shouldn't on whatever platform it might be. So, all good things. And again, it just takes a couple of minutes to have that conversation with your kids as they get ready for what's supposed to be a really fun part of their life. Josh, obviously, like I said, tons of things that we could talk about when it comes to back to school. Was there anything else top of mind for you, whether it's back to school, storm damage, or anything else that's kind of going on over at the BBB?
Yeah, just on the storm damage front, one thing I would caution again is if something does happen to your home or something happens to your vehicle, it's perfectly human reaction to want to remedy that situation as quick as possible. Believe it or not, there is an entire subset of contractors and scammers, so people posing as contractors who rely on you to make knee-jerk reactions without any amount of research. To make that situation go away. Don't make it easy on them. Give yourself the necessary space to make a very large decision, right? I don't think a lot of people, when they get married, for instance, they just say, "I'm getting married with the first Google search result I get when I, search Lincoln wedding," right? You want to make sure that you are at least having a general sense that that company is real, that they have a local location, and that they didn't just happen to be stumbling through your neighborhood. Because while that happens in fairy tales a lot, it's really important that you realize that there are people who are truly looking to the sky for their next project and have not been in any way licensed to provide that project. So, don't make it easy on them. Do your research, and at bare minimum, you'll be able to weed out some of those bad actors from the equation.
100%. That is great advice, Josh, as always. Hey, it was nice to finally actually hang out with you again. I've been feeling bad every Sunday night or Monday morning when I've emailed you and been like, hey, sorry, I'm out of the office, or I got this thing going on. So nice to finally actually connect with you again.
Very nice to meet you, Bill.
All right, Josh. Thanks again. We will see you hopefully next week. So thanks for your time, Josh.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau. Again, appreciate his expertise and tips as always. Appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. Again, keep it tuned to 1011 both on air and online for all of the latest. And until next time, I hope everyone has a nice Monday.
1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media.